On a dark and silent night, Adam decides to go to an old and dark house on a remote street. When he gets home, he feels fear and despair, but with the courage he has hidden inside, he enters the house. Inside the house, the heavy and dark air disturbs him all. Adam slowly checks from room to room, and with every step he takes, he hears an unknown and scary sound from the corner of the house. When he reaches a large and dark room, his eyes fall on a wooden box in the middle of the room. He carefully looks inside the box and sees a horrible creature inside looking at him with its red eyes. Adam is startled by terror and suddenly everything becomes white and bright. He wakes up in his bed at home, but this terrifying experience leaves him with one question. Were the house and its creatures real or just a dream? In a small town in the heart of the warm forest, a family named Harrison lives in a house far away from the city. Their house is located in a dark and mysterious solitude, and no creature has lived there since it was built. Harrison, the son of the family, always feels that their house has secrets that have yet to be revealed. On a dark and rainy night, he decides to search for the secret of the house alone. When he enters the house, he is surrounded by darkness and silence, and every step he takes, he experiences a strange feeling. In the main room, an open wooden box is located and he decides to examine it. But when he looks inside the box, he comes across something terrible that scares him. Harrison screams in terror, and when he regains consciousness, he is in his bed in his house with cold sweat running down his forehead. But the question remains, was that experience real or just a dream? In a remote town full of secrets, Alice, a young daughter of the Wilson family, decides to look for the secret of their house. When he enters the main room, his eyes are drawn to a wooden box in the corner of the room. Opening the box, he comes across an old and scary doll. But this doll looks terrifying, with a creepy face and eyes that peer into his soul. He screams in terror, and moments later, he wakes up in his bed at home. But was this scary experience real or just a dream? This question is still in his mind, and he cannot escape from this fear and mental torture. In a small village called Willow, a family named Smith lived in an old house located around the forest. This house, with its dark and mysterious structure, always had many secrets for the villagers. One night, Jack, the young son of the Smith family, decides to explore their old house alone to discover the secret it holds. Upon entering the house, he experiences dark and heavy air and hears strange noises from under the floor of the house. When he reached the main room, he encounters something horrible inside a wooden box. The box is open and an unknown and scary motion with red eyes is inside it. He screams in terror, and the next moment he wakes up in his bed at home. Was this experience real or just a dream? In a dark and windy night, a terrible and unknown voice came from the top floor of the house, a sound that was suffocating and drowned everything in itself. When he got to the top of the stairs, the living wind seemed to blow through all the corners of the room, and he could hear what sounded like evil laughter. When he entered the room, everything was dark and all the lights disappeared from his eyes. In the mirror, he saw a scary and unknown image of himself, a dark and terrible reflection that gave him a feeling of fear and terror. But the face was that he was alone in his room and no one else could be seen. From then on, Sarah never stayed alone at home and always tried to be with others to feel safe. But the terrible fear of that night was still etched in her mind and she never forgot it. One dark night, Jack receives a message from an anonymous Instagram account. A photo of an old door with the caption, "Are you ready? No sender name." Jack decides to investigate and goes to the place that was seen in the photo. He enters an old and dark house, but after entering, the door closes behind him and he is alone in the darkness. Hearing the scary sound, he feels fear and panic. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself in his room at home. But with all clothes he was wearing, he is confused and terrified. From then on, Jack never sees the anonymous message again, and no one hears from him about that night. One dark night, Sarah meets a profile on Tinder named Adam. Adam attracts Sarah with his blue eyes and charming smiles. Adam proposes a real date and Sarah accepts, hoping to find true love. But when he shows up at the meeting place, he meets an unknown and mysterious man who looks nothing like Adam's profile picture. The unknown man threatens Sarah with scary voice and drags her to a dark and remote place. Terrified, Sarah plunges into darkness and suddenly realizes that it has all been a deadly game. Since then, Sarah has given up an activity on Tinder and is afraid of scary things like this happening.